Hello, Chargers fans, and welcome to another episode of Chargerscast. We're a fan-based podcast about everything Los Angeles Chargers. I'm your host, Kirk Brewer. I'm a San Diego native, and I've been a Chargers fan since 1978, if you can believe it. I was a Chargers fan. I started literally when I came out of the womb. And as a longtime Chargers fan for nearly 4 decades now, I'm here to bring you a unique perspective about our Los Angeles, formerly San Diego, Chargers. We are now in that lull period between OTAs and training camp, so there's not a whole heck of a lot for us to be talking about. So I decided to do a belated pod about the Chargers' 2024 schedule and how I think the Harbaugh-led Bolts are going to fare against their 2024 opponents. I know a lot of people did this as soon as the schedule was released, and there was all sorts of hype about it. But now that we've kind of had a chance to see OTAs, an additional free agent signing or two, i.e. like Bud Dupree, and just kind of letting things soak in and marinate as far as where the Chargers are at coming out of OTAs. I think before we get into training camp, this is a perfect time to actually sit back and look at the schedule and kind of look at what we see and what we think the Chargers might be able to do this season. So let's go ahead and get started. It is Saturday afternoon, July 6th, long 4th of July weekend. And so I brought a nice cold one here to quench my thirst and keep my voice lubricated while I'm doing this episode. And what do we got here? We've got a Kona Brewing Company Big Wave Golden Ale. So that's going to be with us here during this podcast. Oh, ice cold too. Beautiful. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First off, I'm just going to go real quick through the schedule and just kind of list all of our opponents. And then I'll circle back around and kind of give an analysis of what I think, and not super lengthy, just really off the top of my head with each opponent and how I think we'll fare against them. I don't have a lot of notes about this particular podcast. Normally I have a pretty strict outline, but I did write down a few notes about a couple of the teams I don't follow very closely, so I can at least appear somewhat competent. You know, those teams that maybe changed coach, changed quarterbacks, something like that. So otherwise, this is going to be completely off the cuff as we go through the pod. So let's go ahead and get at it. The 2024 schedule. Week 1. I think this is absolutely a fitting Week 1 opponent. We've got the Las Vegas Raiders. I wanted to say Los Angeles versus Oakland, but now the Las Vegas Raiders. Home game, season opener, home opener, September 8th. Week 2, we got the Carolina Panthers. That is an away game. September 15th. Week 3, another away game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, September 22nd. That's a good time of year to be going to Pittsburgh. Week 4, back home against the current arch rival, Kansas City Chiefs, September 29th. And then we have our bye week in Week 5, October 6th. Week 6, we've got the Donkeys. That's an away game. And that is October 13th. Week 7, we got the Cardinals, another away game. That is our first primetime game, October 21st, Monday Night Football. Week 8, home game against the Saints, October 27th. Week 9, the Cleveland Browns, away game, November 3rd. Hopefully the weather will be good. Week 10, home game against the Tennessee Titans, November 10th. Week 11, another home game. This was a nice little home stretch here. Titans week 10, Bengals week 11, and the Ravens week 12. Home. And then we are away for the Falcons week 13. That's an away game December 1st. Week 14, we got the Chiefs away game in Kansas City. Another primetime game, Sunday Night Football. I think I missed a primetime game. Well, the Ravens, right? The Harbaugh Bowl. That's a primetime game, week 12. Week 14, Chiefs, Sunday Night Football, December 8th. Week 15, we've got the Buccaneers home game, December 15th. Week 16, Donkeys again. That is a home game, December 22nd. The week before Christmas. Week 17, Patriots away game, December 28th or 9th. That date is yet to be determined. So it's kind of a flex date there. And then last but not least, week 18, the Raiders. And the date has not been set for that. It's going to be obviously first week in January. And so that's going to be flexed as well. So let's get into this. This is a great schedule. Considering the fact that we were last place in the AFC West, this is, the last place schedule for an AFC West team. But it's not as easy as it could have been because we are playing the AFC North this season. So it's going to be interesting. Week 1 against the Raiders. Home game, September 8th. Perfect game to start the 2024 season, right? This is the start of the new era with Harbaugh against the team that with a backup quarterback beat the living daylights out of the Chargers in prime time and caused the Spanoses to finally realize what we've all been saying, which they needed to fire Brandon Staley, right? Now Vegas has got a new regime. They kept Antonio Pierce. They have a new GM, which is the GM that got fired the same day as Brandon Staley in Tom Telesco, which I like the guy. Did some good things, but it was time for a change. And I love our new GM over Telesco. So great move there. It's perfect with Harbaugh. And the Raiders don't have any real quality starters at quarterback. That rookie is not completely proven yet. And Lord knows he wasn't a first-round pick, which that's not the end-all, be-all, i.e. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, etc. And then they've got another journeyman backup there. Why do I always forget the kid's name? He's the guy who wears the headband and the long hair and the mustache. Journeyman guy. He can play some ball, kind of like a Fitzpatrick. He'll ball out a game or two and then he'll throw 4 picks the next game. But no definitive stud starter. I suspect our player is going to be highly motivated to win this game against this particular team. And it's week 1. Harbaugh, Harbaugh is going to be up for this game. Number 1, it's his first game as Chargers coach. Number 2, it's against the Raiders. There's 2 reasons for that for Harbaugh. He played for the Chargers, so he knows the rivalry. And actually, he kind of got his coaching debut before he became a head coach. He got his coaching debut in Oakland as a quarterbacks coach. So, and I believe it was Oakland. Might have been LA. I think it was LA Raiders when he got his kind of break into NFL coaching. And then last but not least, the Spanoses are going to be up for winning this game with Telesco over there, and this being the team that embarrassed us on national TV, and it's the Raiders. All right. So all that said, hands down, that's a W. Period. They don't have a quarterback. The roster's decent, but not great. Our line has been revamped, and the Harbaugh style, we're going to run this ball down their freaking throats. We're going to pound them and pound them and pound them. week 1, home game, home opener, Chargers get the W. Now, I got to say it right here because, like I said, I'm doing this off the cuff. It's very likely when I get through the end of this schedule that the win-loss record is going to look like a homer type of record, right? 17-0 or something stupid. However, I'm going to say right now, do not lose sight of the fact that when Harbaugh took over the Niners, they went, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they went 13 and they were 3-13 the year before he took over. They went 13-3 the year he took over. Okay, we went 5-12. I think we easily could be a 12-5 team. In fact, we could have been a 12-5 team last season if we had better coaching, because 7 of those games were touchdown or less. We lost by a touchdown or less. And so it's those minute details that Harbaugh and his staff with G-Row and our new defensive coordinator, these guys, you hear the players talk about it. It's details. So I think they're going to get over the hump this season just with the new coaching staff alone. So week 1, Raiders, home opener, season opener, win. Week 2, on the road, September 15th against the Panthers. What do we got going on here? They've got a rookie head coach, Dave Canales, who was former offensive coordinator of the Buccaneers. Second-year QB, who was former number 1 pick last year, Bryce Young. He did not look good last year. So this kid needs to step up and prove his worth. They've got some quality members of Canales' staff with Dom Capers and Jim Caldwell as senior staff members. And then the roster's got some talent. But I don't think, they're probably middle of the pack at best. And I do not think they're ready to take the next step yet. So I've got the Chargers. They're going to start 2-0. Home win week 1, away win week 2. Week 3, we head to the Steelers. It's in Pittsburgh. Tomlin's still doing Tomlin. TJ Watt, still TJ Watt. Their recipes, physicality. The difference is the Chargers are now going to be almost like an AFC North team with the physicality, right? Do not let the powder blues fool you, Harbaugh said. And I think a lot of people are going to be fooled, which I don't blame them, right? It's like, until you prove it, we're going to think you're the Chargers of old and you're soft. One thing I think is maybe a determining factor, because I think they're going to be playing similar styles of football, is I'm not convinced of the quarterback talent in Pittsburgh. We've got Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields. Clearly, Wilson should be the starter. Last couple seasons, Wilson has left a lot to be desired. I think he's on a better team than he was, with better coaching than when he was in Denver. But Herbert's much better, much younger, and he's now going to have a running game. So while I think this is going to be a tough game, and it's a road game, and it's our second back-to-back road game, I'm still calling this a W. So you guys can call BS on me on that if you like, but I'm calling that a dub. Let's get to week 4. This is a home game, September 29th against the Chiefs. This is a great time for this game because obviously the Chiefs are the ones, they've got target on their back. Harbaugh's definitely putting a target on their back, and rightfully so. But while it would have been cool to maybe have them in week 1, it's nice to get a couple games under our belt against some quality opponents, especially the Steelers. The Raiders are no pushover, and quite frankly, I don't think the Panthers are going to be a pushover. I mean, any team on any Sunday in the NFL, right? But week 4 against the Chiefs, home game for us. We've now got a few games under our belt, so our game plan's probably solidified. Our players are kind of getting in a groove. Chiefs haven't really made any major improvements. I mean, they got a speedy wide receiver in the draft. They've notoriously been slow starters these last couple seasons. And honestly, Harbaugh's building this team to punch teams like the Chiefs right in their freaking mouth. He's really kind of modeling this, just the way Harbaugh's always built his teams. And this one you guys are going to call a homer pick, but I'm going to say early in the season, the Chargers are going to surprise the Chiefs. The Chiefs aren't ready for the new Chargers, and they notoriously start slow. And this is at home. I think the Chargers pull this one out. And if they do, if I'm right, and we're 4-0 after week 4, you know the hype is going to get huge. It's going to get huge. Fan base is going to be going freaking wild as we head into week 5, which is a bye week. Okay? Too early in the season for a bye week, but you just get what you got and you deal with it. So Chargers will use this opportunity, especially if it's a physical game 2 weeks in a row between the Steelers and now the Chiefs, to kind of lick their wounds, get healthy. But boy, having a week 5 bye in a 17-week season is kind of tough. It's going to make it tough for the Bolts down the home stretch during that home stretch run to hopefully make the playoffs. So this is where our guy Ben Herbert late in this season is really, really going to prove his worth, keeping our boys up every Sunday playing. So week 5, October 6th is a bye. Week 6, October 13th, road game, Mile High Stadium against the Donkeys. Coach Payton, year 2, has some turnover at QB. Wilson's gone. He really doesn't have an established stud starter quarterback. Let's see, drafted Bo Nix from Oregon. Justin's alma mater. Dan Fouts' alma mater. And Stedham, I think, is kind of the more grizzled veteran there, if you want to call it that. So they don't have an established QB in place. But their defense remains mostly intact. They've had a strong defense. That being said, it's the Donkeys, and they don't have a QB, and we do. Our defense is going to cause opposing quarterbacks who are not very seasoned and savvy, who can't read defenses well, read their progressions well, and get rid of the ball. Between Bosa, Mack, Tooley, and Bud Dupree. Are you kidding me? These guys are going to bring the freaking heat. And so the QBs in Denver, unless they can run that ball against us, those guys are going to be hurt. Same with like the Raiders in week 1, right? So again, it's a dub, right? We're 5-0. I know, I told you guys it's going to kind of feel like I'm giving a homer assessment here, but I believe my assessment is accurate as far as each opponent and why I think we can actually pull out these first 5-week wins. And then we roll into week 7. We got the Cardinals. It's an away game, but it's just, 50-minute flight from LA to Phoenix, which, by the way, while I am a San Diego native, I've now lived in the Phoenix area for 30 years, and that's an away game. So guess what? And it's a Monday night game. So I might get to catch that game in Cardinal Stadium live, which would be pretty cool. Year 2 under Coach Jonathan Gannon. He hasn't really showed a whole lot yet, so that's somewhat of an unknown. We got Kyler Murray. Not a fan of the dude for all kinds of reasons. Does he have his moments? Yes, he's got talent. He's way too small. I mean, Joey Bosa could just flick him upside the head and probably put him out for the season. The Cardinals did get the number 1 wide receiver of this year's draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. That guy is going to be the next Larry Fitzgerald, especially having ended up in the desert. That guy's going to be special. His dad was special. But one wide receiver, like I've talked about relative to us not taking Malik Neighbors and taking Joe Alt, one wide receiver is not nearly as valuable as one massive stud tackle that's going to play for 10 years and keep your stud quarterback upright. So they've got decent talent on the roster, but between Kyler Murray and Gannon, and then the Cardinals being the Cardinals, and you guys know what I mean by that. You know how, the Chargers charger, which I believe that's done as long as Harbaugh is coaching. But the Cardinals, the Bidwells are still the Bidwells, and the Cardinals are going to Cardinal. And so guess what? The Chargers are undefeated in week 7. We're 6-0. That's a Monday night game. And the hype around Monday night, are you kidding me? If the Chargers are undefeated heading into that game, like I said, it's going to get deafening. And they deserve it. It's way overdue. This Chargers have been one of the most talented rosters for quite a few years now. Telesco did a really good job of that. He just sucked at hiring coaches, and he missed on a few. Let's head into week 8. Saints, home game in SoFi, October 27th. All right. Dennis Allen, David Carr. We've always done great against David Carr. It's pretty rare that he has been able to dominate us. I think we've played him very well. We're always able to get him flustered. Again, Bosa, Mack, Tooley, and Bud Dupree. Enough said there. It's pretty talented roster, definitely in the upper half of the league, but it's David Carr and Dennis Allen. Okay, we've seen that show. We know how that plays out. It's basically the Raiders East, and so that's a W. I'm not going to belabor that. Despite their talented roster, it's David Carr and Dennis Allen. So, and it's in our house. Boom. 7-0 after week 8. You guys believe it? I think it's possible. I really do. We have a schedule that is favorable for Harbaugh to work his Harbaugh magic. And if we're 7-0 after week 8, the hype is just going to keep mounting. And then, boom, we're going to hit that game, right? So, week 9, away game against the Browns. Okay, Kevin Stefanski still doing his thing. Remember, he was an assistant for the Chargers back in the day. It was under Norv or Anthony Lynn, one of the two. They've got a very talented roster there, very talented coaching staff there. To me, and this is just me, their Achilles heel is Deshaun Watson. Okay, he's going to be healthy. He's going to be the starter. But since he got that big honking guaranteed contract, I want to say it was $250 million, fully guaranteed. This is when he was going through all those rape allegations, didn't even play, or he was suspended like 12 games that next season. He just hasn't been able to put up anything that looks like his days on the Texans. This is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a really tough game, and it's a away game. I hate to see us lose to Deshaun Watson. It is week 9. He could be knocked out by now. So I'm going to put a loss. This is our first loss. Week 9 away game against the Browns, November 3rd. Weather shouldn't be too bad. So it definitely isn't necessarily a cold weather game. That being said, though, I think the Chargers are going to be built to dominate in cold weather games. So that shouldn't be a deciding factor, even though we're a West Coast team. If Deshaun Watson is out, then we'll probably take that game. Either way, it's going to be a tough physical game, but this could be their first loss for the Chargers in week 9. Week 10, the Titans roll into town, and let's see, there's been some change, right? Vrabel's out. Got a new rookie head coach in Brian Callahan, offensive-minded guy. Second-year QB in Will Levis. Like the kid. I think he's a gamer. Don't necessarily think he's at a point where he can put an entire team on his back, but he's definitely a gamer. No Derrick Henry. That's massive. And a newly assembled coaching staff. That's a dub. Okay, that's a home game. Rookie head coach. No Derrick Henry. Newly assembled staff. Even though it's week 10 and those guys, if they're going to get it, they will have gotten it. By the same token, if the wheels have come off, by now the wheels are off. But they're going to hit a buzzsaw when they hit the bolts. And they're not going to know what hit them, because as we're smacking them in the mouth, Herbie's going to go over the top and just knock them out. Week 11, Bengals. That's a home game. Zach Taylor's the head coach. He's been there a while now. They do have a new OC, because it was Callahan, I believe, was their OC, who just took the head coaching job in Tennessee. Burrow's healthy. They got a strong roster. This is going to be another tough game. Do I see our guys dropping 2 games back to back? Burrow's good, man. That kid can sling it. There's a reason he went first overall in the same draft as Herbert. If he can stay healthy, that's going to be a tough game. That could be our first home loss. Yeah. If Burrow's playing, I'm going to say that's going to be a loss for us. All right. Let's head to week 12, Monday Night Football. That is the Harbaugh Bowl. Home game in SoFi, Monday night. Jim Harbaugh's Chargers, John Harbaugh's Ravens. We're kind of the Ravens West right now. Our 2 stud running backs, our offensive coordinator, our center once played there. Our best tight end, Hayden Hurst, once played there. And so this is going to be a tough one. And I think Jimmy pulls it out. So we get the dub. That one's a coin toss. In fact, if I had a coin here, I'd just toss it. I don't, so I won't. I'm going to say we pull out the win on Monday Night Football. It's going to be highly contested, massively physical, and I think we squeak it out. I think, who's going to win that game for us? Dicker, our kicker. He is going to knock one through. Primetime game, and we're going to walk out probably 2-point lead, 2-point win. All right. Week 13, the Falcons away game. Raheem Morris, he gets his second stint as a head coach. I think he's a better coordinator than a coach, just my personal opinion. He's got a newly assembled coaching staff. He's got Kirk Cousins as a starting QB coming off Achilles. It's week 13, so even if Kirk wasn't ready to start in week 1, I'm sure he's starting by then, as long as he continues to start and doesn't get knocked out. And they've got quality supporting cast around him too. I mean, there's definitely some talent on that team, but I think we're going to be hitting our stride. I think we're way more talented, and I think we pull out the W. All right, so let's head on to week 14. Sunday Night Football game. The Chiefs on their home turf, December 8th. It's in their house. It's late in the season, so if they started slow, Chiefs are probably getting into a rhythm now. We possibly have the division on the line, potentially. Probably, almost certainly, we're going to have playoff spots on the line, if not the division. And quite frankly, this one's probably, because we always play the Chiefs tough, and it doesn't matter if it's in KC or a home game. It doesn't matter who the coach is. Typically, we play these guys tough. We did with Phillip. We have with Herbie. This one may come down to which team is the healthiest and who has most of their starters healthy to start and play this game. I'm going to say the Chargers split with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are going to get us on their home field. It's going to be a tough game. It's probably going to be 4 points or less, but I'll give that one to the Chiefs. Week 15, home game for us against Todd Bowles' Buccaneers, December 15th. Looks like Baker's still their starting QB, and that guy's, I like Baker. Baker's scrappy. He's not the best QB, but he's definitely got a chip on his shoulder. He's got some attitude, and I think that's huge. He's got a good supporting cast. Not great, but it's good. Probably, again, mid to upper third of the league. It's a home game for us, and we're starting to get to crunch time. This is where big line and running game are going to be paying its dividends, as well as having 4 edge rushers that can rotate in. It's going to be really important to see if Joey stays healthy this season. Again, Ben Herbert and all of that stuff hopefully pays dividends, and having a 4-man rotation should help Joey as well. And so we pull out the win. Home game against the Buccaneers, week 15. The Donkeys, man, they're division games, right? And so they're always tough. But, by now probably Bo Nix is starting. It's week 16. And I'm going to say their season is probably over at this point. It's a home game for us. Playoffs and possibly the division are on the line, not with the Donkeys, of course, but with the Chiefs. And this team's going to be ready to play every week. I can promise you that. They're going to be ready. You're not going to see this bullshit that you saw with Staley or, God forbid, Mike McCoy. Anthony Lynn did a pretty decent job. I mean, he got his guys ready to play, but I'll never forget Mike McCoy doing this on the sidelines. It was just pathetic. And then, Staley, of course. So Harbaugh's going to have his boys ready to play, and they're going to play physical. They're looking forward to playing physical and coming downhill on teams. We're going to pull that one out December 22nd, and we're all going to have a very Merry Christmas, because at this point, the Bolts are looking strong. And then we have an away game, week 17, December 28th or 29th. That date is not set yet. It's against the lowly, it's nice to finally say that after 20 freaking years, the lowly Patriots. I remember I was literally sitting on a golf course up in Escondido when Drew Bledsoe got knocked out. We were playing the Patriots. Drew Bledsoe got knocked out. Brady came in and won that game against us. And then he went on to the playoffs and never relinquished the job. Those times are over. All right. Bill Belichick's gone. Tom Brady's gone. Gerard Mayo's the new head coach. Unproven commodity. He could turn out to be, Belichick too. Probably not like Vrabel, much better. By then, their rookie Drake May's probably going to be their starting QB. Their season's probably lost, so they're going to get him reps. And honestly, I think their roster's probably in the lower half of the league, maybe in the last quartile. So we're going to pull that win out heading into the finale. First week in January against the Raiders. All right. What a way to bookend our season. Open with the Raiders, close with the Raiders. Right now, I would think that the Bolts might have the division locked up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We've got 13 wins. It's possible. It comes down to week 18 with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs continue to chief, which I don't think so. They're so due. Last season was the season we could have taken them down if we had made the change after the Jacksonville debacle and hired Harbaugh then. Okay, we could have taken them. They were vulnerable last season. I think they're equally vulnerable this season, especially this whole three-peat BS. I think we take down the Raiders, and I think we win the division. Serious. And we are going to be one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC playoffs. And everybody's going to be raving that Harbaugh did it again, right? And the Chargers are going to learn how to stop charging. The Chargers are going to be the Bobby Ross and the Marty Schottenheimer style of Chargers, which is smack you in the mouth, play physical. Not everybody on the team is going to be a superstar, but boy, do we have superstars laced throughout this roster, both on defense and on offense. And Harbaugh's, he's got the tools. He's probably got, in his entire career, he's probably got better tools now than he's ever had in any of his other stops. And so, yeah, we're looking at 14 and 3 out of 17 games, finished 14 and 3. So, like I said, it probably seems like that is a homer analysis. And, I'm sure it is somewhat. I am definitely biased. But I've seen this team. I know the talent that's on this team. And I've known for a while that we are just the right coach away. Just literally the right coach. Getting rid of Joe Lombardi, that wasn't the recipe. Lombardi actually did pretty damn good. All in all, I know there's some things we could all criticize about, but look at Herbert's numbers under Lombardi. And the fact that Harbaugh brought Shane Day back, it cannot be overestimated how important that's going to be for Herbert to be comfortable with having Stick as his backup, as his, his eyes and his ears, guy to bounce things off of, and then having Shane Day. And the other thing, too, is nobody's talking about this. Mark Trestman, man, I'm telling you right now, Mark Trestman is going to lend a lot to what this passing game is going to be. With him working with G-Row and Harbaugh, nobody's talking about Mark Trestman, okay? It's, G-Row running game, G-Row running game, G-Row running game. Yeah, but Mark Trestman, okay, that guy's won multiple Grey Cups in the Canadian League, okay? He's kind of a quarterback whisperer and an offensive kind of mad scientist. The guy knows the passing game forwards and backwards, and he doesn't have to coach up anybody, okay? He's out there, he's watching, but all he has to do is scheme. And so that's going to be a big contribution as well. So I've got us finishing 14 and 3. We will see week in and week out, but we've got a very favorable schedule. And I think Harbaugh is going to be able to take advantage of that. That's that last place AFC schedule that's really going to benefit us. Training camp. Let's wrap this thing up here. Training camp starts July 16th for the rookies. And the vets come in July 23rd. And then there's going to be a bunch of open practices to the public. The training camp is also going to kind of commemorate the grand opening of the new $250 million training facility in El Segundo called The Bolt. That place is supposed to be spectacular. I guess they were having opening it up to the public and selling tickets for that. And those things sold like hotcakes. And I'm not shocked. If I was in LA or in OC, I don't know if I'd drive up from Diego, but if I was in OC, I probably would have bought some tickets and gone up and checked that place out firsthand. It's supposed to be spectacular. So that's going to be awesome. Preseason games, they start August 10th. 3 games because of the 17-game season, so only 3 preseason games now. Season opener, home game, September 8th against the Raiders. That is going to be a great way to kick off our season. So there you have it. That's my take on the Bolts 2024 schedule matchups. Yeah, I know it kind of came out looking homer. Let's wait and see till the season's over. I don't think it's going to be as homer as it looks today. I seriously think this team, Harbaugh's going to be able to utilize the talent that is on this team. We've got a lot to be excited about, Chargers fans. We might get a few, I suspect we will get a few free agent additions as mandatory cuts come post-training camp. So watch out for that. We've got some position battles that we need to be paying attention to in training camp. I think probably cornerback's the biggest, but it's going to be interesting as well to see how the wide receiver room shakes out. I think that pecking order is pretty well established between, right, we got Palmer, Quentin, McConkey, DJ Chark. I mean, those guys are set in stone. And then I think we're going to keep Double D because with the new kickoff rule, he's going to be really, really important, even though he may not be as big of a contributor in the wide receiver room. And so there might be maybe one more position open, whether it's Brandon Rice or who's going to fill that. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Linebacker is going to be interesting, right? We got the Rook from Michigan, and we've got why am I drawing a mental blank here? Well, we got our boy Perryman back, who I think he's going to be a rotational guy. Put it in the comments. I'm not going to keep going on here. Put it in the comments. Who's the linebacker I'm freaking missing right now? But that linebacker position is going to be very important. Then just to also watch the O-line gel. Right now it's looking like Pipkin's moving into right guard, and to see how that's going to work out, and to see how the new center that we signed from Carolina, who is a former Panther, to Bradley Bozeman, to see how he's going to work out as well. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting to watch training camp, as well as looking at the offensive and defensive schemes and seeing how those are installed and how the players are doing. So we've got a lot to look forward to. Again, it's July 6th today, and July 16th, 10 days from now, the Rooks show up. So it should be very interesting. We'll have some joint practices near the tail end of training camp, and then the preseason games start, like I said, August 10th. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. The 2024 season is upon us, and the new Harbaugh. Man, I've been going on about Harbaugh literally since the day it was announced. What was it, December 15th, that Staley was fired. The Harbaugh era is almost like officially upon us. We're weeks away at this point. So buckle up. There you have it for this episode of Chargerscast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them down below. Or you can always email me, chargerscast@gmail.com, chargerscast@gmail.com. Be sure to like and subscribe below. Click the bell so that when we post a new pod, you guys get a notice of that, and to let me know that you guys are appreciating what we're doing here. The time and effort that goes into doing one of these is not inconsequential, between coming up with it, outlining it, doing it, editing it, posting it, the whole bit. I'm a one-man show at this point. So like, subscribe, really appreciate it. And also check out the Chargers Cast fan merch. Got some really, really cool merch on our store, and you can find that in the link below as well. I'm Kirk Brewer, and this is Chargers Cast. Catch you guys next time.